Well, with momentous and fun All In behind us, right away we have to pivot towards All Out on September 7th, which is no big task, but based on Wednesday night's Dynamite, All Out is shaping to be a fun event to look forward to. Unlike the way they've handled All Out and All In is certainly better than last year, I think we can say so far, because first of all, there was like a week in between All Outs and All In. And, there wasn't much build towards All Out. And besides Omega and Takesha and Bryan Ricky Starks, it wasn't a solid pay-per-view, I would say. But, so yeah, the other thing is having a week in between and seeing some of these matches is like, so far, we got Swerve vs. Hangman in a steel cage, that feud, which has been nearly a year, and we'll get the next chapter inside steel cage in Chicago, which will be great. MJF, Daniel Garcia, kind of figured with Daniel Garcia costing MJF the International Championship at All In against Will Ospreay. Pac finally gets his crack at the International Championship against Will Ospreay at All Out. So those are three very fun matches. And Willow faced Chris Statlander in a street fight in Chicago as well. So 4 matches already lined up very well. And we saw in the main event segment, which might as well discuss because that was the lasting moment of the show. Bryan Danielson looks like he'll defend his title against Jack Perry at All Out. Now, Jack Perry, upon his return, went from his time in New Japan, returning at Dynasty. It's been much needed. His look and his development has certainly worked. Now, I can tell people are a bit underwhelmed because, Jack Perry, upon this emotional win, Bryan Danielson on Sunday, Jack Perry is the first opponent. Now, Jack Perry, of course, TNT champion. He beat Darby Allin in a coffin match on Sunday. Can't talk about good and bad. I'll just talk about why it works. So, I just mentioned Jack Perry beat Darby in a coffin match on Sunday. Darby has a world title shot lined up at Grand Slam in a month. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, Jack Perry has momentum, and so there's one. 2, people give gripes or give criticism to AEW on not building new stars. Well, it appears with All Out, it definitely seems like they're trying to use some of their known talents to help build their younger talent, as we've seen. It's like MJF, Daniel Garcia. That's a match that makes sense, and we'll see. MJF is known, former world champion, the longest reigning world champion in AEW. We'll see what he brings out of Daniel Garcia in Chicago. And then we got Bryan Danielson for Jack Perry. Jack Perry, one of the guys that was labeled as a pillar of AEW with Sammy Guevara, MJF, and Darby. But Perry, prior to last year when he turned heel on Hook, didn't really find his rhythm as a singles competitor. But Jack Perry now, in this singles role, he beat Darby out All In, and Anarchy in the Arena. Jack Perry pinned Bryan Danielson at Double or Nothing. So, as a win over the current world champion, so there's certainly that. So, I mean, using your well-known talent to help build new stars. And the other kicker, which, is low-hanging fruit, but it's there. It's in Chicago. And we all know Jack Perry and the Young Bucks is gonna get no love lost in Chicago anytime soon anymore with with CM Punk, and you can just tell it. Jack Perry's gonna get a good amount of heat in Chicago, which that'll be very good for him. And we've seen Perry go, heck of a steel cage match versus Luchasaurus. He has faced Kenny Omega. He's faced a number of talent. And now he's going to face Bryan Danielson out. Now, we did not see him on the show, and that's certainly interesting because Christian Cage, who won the Casino Gauntlet at All In to get a world title shot so he can cash in the future. It's interesting because Swerve vs. Hangman have the steel cage match. Darby is going to get a crack at Grand Slam. So, interesting developments as Christian Cage, now you can just wait to see how the scene develops, and then wait for his time to strike. Because, I mean, right now, my guess is Swerve beats Hangman. At All Out. Bryan beats Darby. And Bryan faces Swerve in a rematch at WrestleDream in Washington, which would be a great scene for Swerve to take his title back in October. So we'll see how it develops, but nonetheless, it's an interesting scene to look forward to. We saw Jamie Hayter's return to Dynamite, which good to see because she returned at All In on the pre-show, fighting off Saraya and her family, which only angered Saraya, and it was a great moment. Again, I, along with people, understandably so, wish she could have been on the main card, preferably in TBS title scene or match, but that was not the case. Nonetheless, it's good to see her back. She demolished Harley Cameron as she should have. And then we got Ricochet's AEW Dynamite debut as he won one-on-one in the main event match versus Kyle Fletcher, which Ricochet was in the Casino Gauntlet match. He had a fair showing in his debut. It's certainly going to be interesting how they show him, but we got a little tease as after a solid match versus Kyle Fletcher, which we know Kyle Fletcher's no joke. He's a very good wrestler, still very young as well. But after Ricochet won, all of a sudden we heard, the tunes of Elevated Will Ospreay. And we knew the match was inevitable. We just didn't expect it probably this right out of the gate. And we know Ospreay's been wanting Ricochet in AEW. Excuse me. But Ospreay came out and eyed up Ricochet while he's on the stage, and right before Ospreay could say anything, he took a big reverse hurricanrana from Pac on the stage. Basically, Pac saying, don't overlook me. Because they got a hell of a match to look forward to at All Out. And he welcomed Ricochet to AEW. So, already a little teaser. And you liked it because Pac, again, can't overlook the bastard. And it was a good thing. But yeah, solid match with Ricochet and Kyle Fletcher. And then we get this after. Maybe, I don't know. Grand Slam, it's possible, but it might be a little too soon. Maybe WrestleDream, we could get it as early as then. We'll see. But yeah, the match is certainly on the mind of Will Ospreay and Ricochet, obviously. And we'll see when we get the match, but it's obviously inevitability. But although at least for Pac, at least because he ain't being Ospreay, at least he was able to get his Wembley moment on Sunday. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with Yuta and Pac and Claudio with the trios titles. Because I think we're all curious where Jon Moxley was on Sunday. And based on Wednesday, we got our answer. Why he was not there. Which what we opened the show with. So, Jon Moxley, he returned. We opened Dynamite. So he didn't come out to Wild Things. He came out to his Death Rider theme from New Japan. So right out of the gate, you can tell a more serious, side of Moxley. We're out, and we have not seen Moxley in 2 months? Definitely a neat vacation for the former multiple-time world champion. So he was out there, and he was very just like badass, not looking to be all jolly with the crowd or interactive. He just wanted to handle his business. So he was out there, and Tony Schiavone was like, I gotta speak with him. So he got a mic and greeted Moxley in the ring. So he asked him how he's been. Moxley said, a lot of thinking, a lot of talking. And he mentioned Darby Allin. Said it's about time they have a talk. And said he's not a hard man to fight. So as he was about to leave, he stuck his finger in Tony Schiavone's chest. And because Tony Khan is always in Tony Schiavone's ear, Jon Moxley basically told Schiavone, but probably meant Tony Khan, this is not your company anymore. So there was that. And Moxley walked off. So, cryptic message from Moxley. And then go up in the show. And Jon Moxley, Maria Shavir attacked two schmucks, two workers backstage. And if Moxley wasn't there Sunday night, and then he was there on Wednesday. You just wonder if Moxley is leading his own alliance, his own group, and he's no longer affiliated with the Blackpool Comic Club. That's probably a double-edged sword. They were thinking of, well, if Moxley's going to do this, pair Pac with Claudio and Yuta, so that way they can get a moment for Wembley and share with Bryan. So there's that. So yeah. But yeah, Moxley, this cryptic like message, and then he's talking riddles in the back, so you wonder, because as well, that line, it's not your company anymore. We know Tony Khan met with Shane McMahon a couple weeks ago, and you just wonder if this is tying in to Shane McMahon showing up, being a part of AEW in some sort of form of fashion. You know, backstage, you know, a authority on TV, because we all get it. The Elite storyline takeover of AEW fell flat. I mean, it started with some intrigue when they attacked Tony Khan, left him in a neck brace, but when Tony Khan came back to TV weeks later, and, you know, Tony Khan can make the final say, and the Young Bucks continue to make decisions and are not overridden by Tony Khan, which we know is there, and Chris Ramos is appointed interim EVP to be the surrogate for Tony Khan. It's just too many authority figures made it too confusing, and, you know, the Young Bucks with their title reign has not gone to fruition. Okada, I hate to say it, but he's not carrying a title worth mean much. And Jack Perry is probably doing the best out of anyone for the Elite. Which strange, but true. Which is another reason why Jack Perry, you know, works for getting a crack at Bryan Danielson. But yeah, so this may be AEW's way to revive a takeover role of AEW. You know, with Jon Moxley's regime, with Shane McMahon. You know, we're wondering about the media rights deal. Well, maybe they tie this into that deal. Make it a storyline. We'll see. But it certainly has people talking for right now. So we'll see. Hangman Page beat Tomohiro Ishii in a hell of a fight. The Son Pitbull Ishii, we know, can bring it. And these guys kicked the shit out of each other. Just kicked whatever you want to say. It was a fun match. And of course, the big spot in this match was when Ishii got a whole bunch of offense in and landed a deadeye of sorts on Hangman, which kind of looked like an air crash instead, but nonetheless, so Ishii is not as tall as Hangman, who has vast experience and is certainly bigger than Ishii. So that, I think, played a role because Hangman almost got dropped on his head. But it looked like he kind of thankfully moved at the last second, so it's kind of more absorbed on his shoulder. But still, looked brutal. So, after doing lariats, Hangman hit a dead eye of his own, followed up with a buckshot lariat for the win. So there was that. And then you hear Swerve's music hit and you're like, oh crap. How is Swerve going to come out after Hangman didn't directly cost Swerve the World Championship, but he definitely played a role into Swerve losing the title on Sunday. So now Swerve's vibe was key because he didn't seem like a guy that lost the title and was like, well, feels like out of the picture. He felt like a guy that's still in the picture, still at the rope, after his signing the extension on Sunday. He definitely looked in that mode, still without the title. So he was out there and said he basically feels sorry for Hangman. How Hangman's been obsessed with him, and said at the end of the day, he'll always be remembered as a champion. And he will get the title back, mark his words. So Hangman said that he is not a champion. He was just like, fiery because he's, incensed. He's like pissed off. And he called Swerve a piece of shit. So Swerve tell it, he mentioned all he had to do was break into Hangman's house. He talked about Hangman escorting his pregnant wife, to their car, heading to the hospital. If Hangman and his wife had another kid, congrats. Or if they're about to, congrats as well, nonetheless. So Swerve said, well, that's kind of the man that Hangman should have been, a family man. So they get all pissed at each other, and Hangman talked about, well, first time we met at WrestleStream, you need Nana to beat me. At Full Gear in that Texas Death match, you need Prince Nana and Brian Cage. And then last time, you had 30 minutes and you couldn't beat me one-on-one. So you are not better than me, and you're not on my level. So Swerve then said, well, why don't we lock everyone out and lock us in? So he made the challenge for a steel cage match at All Out in Chicago. And that just feels like main events worthy. I mean, it just seemed like great. Certainly there. So Swerve Talent's saying to Paige, well, he wants to know what kind of man will he be in that cage, and more importantly, what kind of man will he show your kids, be there for your kids. And Hangman has been sent with Swerve getting his revenge on Swerve all these months since his return. And he's right there. They all go to blows or brawl. Hangman backs up and leaves. So that certainly caught people off guard. But yeah, this is only 2 episodes of Dynamite to gear up for All Out, but certainly off to a really good track because, yeah, Swerve vs. Hangman, steel cage amongst the other 4 matches I just mentioned. So, very good. Very good. And Ishii vs. Hangman. Ishii is definitely one of the better New Japan talents that comes over in this working relationship with New Japan. Always appreciate it. And with Ishii, he's always going to bring it, or they're certainly going to give the guys time. Not gonna, especially in this working relationship, not try to embarrass any of their talent. So this was a fun, hard-hitting match with Hangman and Ishii. That was fun. MJF, so he was out there visibly in pain. And he was pissed by everyone in Champaign, Illinois, because talked about how he was representing the country, against Will Ospreay in the UK with the American Championship. So he said he denounced his American citizenship and said the only place that matters to him is the most magical place on earth, Long Island, New York. So he said he denounced all of you as well, hence the crowd. Said that Will Ospreay, this ain't over between us by a long shot. said that there's no doubt in his ability. He will come close to being a world champion, but says right when you are about to hit that summit, I'm going to pull it right under you. So, yeah, that's great. Leaves the door open for a rematch, another feud, which it's going to be fun to see. And then mentioned Daniel Garcia, and this when the tone kind of really picked up, because called Daniel Garcia a boy, and saying next time he sees Daniel Garcia, he's going to hospitalize him. And then right as MJF was incensed talking to the camera, we see Garcia out of the corner of the ring, and he attacks MJF from behind. He locked in a guillotine choke to MJF. He's about to hit him with a pile driver. But then he looks at how MJF tried to end his career with that top rope tombstone. So he tried to go for a top rope tombstone of his own, or pile driver, but officials came in. He could have still done it, but he got distracted by the officials. The referees tried to stop him. MJF took advantage and attacked him from behind, and sprawl escalated. Christopher Daniels out there. They try to separate each other. So Max was on the stage, and Garcia cut this intense promo talking about how his mother had to see him go out in a wheelchair in the most important night of his career. So that he talked to Tony Khan and said it's official. All Out and Chicago. MJF versus Daniel Garcia. And said that Garcia said that beating MJF in a match isn't good enough. Said that he won't stop until he hits him with a pile driver and breaks his neck. Says that everyone who loves him will have to suffer with him. Hence MJF. So Garcia then chucked the mic at MJF's face and clipped him. And that just riled up MJF even more. And yeah, this was great for Daniel Garcia. Definitely much needed for this feud. He wanted Daniel Garcia to come out in a great way for revenge. And we're going to get this match All Out. And I would say if Swerve vs. Hangman wasn't in a steel cage, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a stipulation match. But nonetheless, it should be fun, and we'll see how Daniel Garcia steps up to the plate. Allegedly, Garcia hasn't signed the extension yet, so that could play a part, but it seems likely now that they're geared towards an extension. So, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really watch the 8-man tag with the conglomeration Hook, and if there was one thing on the show I didn't want to really watch, is this. Because, so, Hook and Jericho, that was supposed to be done on Sunday. So cool. So then after the match, so they face Roddy and the Learning Trees, Jericho, Big Bill, and Brad Key. So after the match, we see Roderick Strong, hoisted by the Kingdom with the FTW title and Hook being laid out. Here's my thing. Roderick Strong versus Hook will make for a heck of a match. There's no disputing that. It's an interesting thing. The thing is, so there was a reporter on Sunday during the media's room, which talked about the legacy and stuff of the FTW title and mentioned the word joke. To the point where he had to apologize afterwards because Hook was upset. Tony Khan, basically cut a promo talking about defending it. The thing is, right now, the appropriate thing would have been to say was, it's an unofficial title on a show that has a number of titles. So, that, and this Jericho feud was supposed to help Hook, gain a step, go forward. Yes, he's still really young, but still, you want to see a guy like Hook be able to take the next step when you're talking about the future stars of AEW, the young stars. So, the thing is, the FTW title kind of feels like a crutch for Hook because it's kind of like this title is a way for Hook to buy time, until he gets, more experience, more older, until they feel comfortable putting him in a higher spot on the card. It's just, that's my feeling. Because I'm excited to see how Roddy and Hook do. It feels like kind of still at square one with Hook. Because last year, he defeated Jack Perry to regain the FTW title. This year, it was a great moment with Taz, but still, he defeated Hook, or Hook defeated Jericho for the FTW title. And the thing is, if it was Jericho from a few years ago, then when you won the world title, it would have more meaning. But the problem is, Jericho, it does feel like a break would benefit him. But the thing is, Jericho and his gimmick is probably working the way he intends. But the reality is, defeating Jericho doesn't have that ooh-ah factor appreciative as it did a few years ago. So, yeah. Or even last year. Mercedes Moné, she had a bit of a celebration backstage with Camille. Private party. They were out there. They tried to get on the fun. Brother Zay tried to shoot a shot with Mercedes, but was shut down, and which caused Okada to get into the fold. So there you go. And they were both doing the CO dance. Camille, Sarah, some other people were there. Yeah. Ryan May. So, let's talk about this quickly. So, Mariah May, new AEW Women's Champion, had her moment on Sunday, defeating Toni Storm, who we did not see Wednesday, rightfully so. So, Tony Schiavone was on the stage, and Mariah May was in a row. So, Tony Schiavone talked about, well, it's time for another celebration. Then you look at the time, you're like, still got the main event, and we still got Bryan. So, So, Mariah May was like, I'm not going to have my celebration in this city, in this state, even though it's called Champagne. It's more like Albrook beer. So, instead, she just slightly flashed the robe off. She was apparently wearing lingerie, and she told the crowd, take it in for a moment and remember it. So there you go. Before she has a proper celebration. To the point where she even had Tony Schiavone distracted. Tony Schiavone kind of flinched. And when he was touched by Mariah May, he was like, where was I? So there was that. There was that. Now, I wonder if we get Toni Storm, attacking Mariah May, then setting up a rematch. Who knows? Mina Shirakawa, she was in the crowd for the top match on Sunday. I don't know. There's some factors, but yeah. Grizzled Young Veterans. So, at the end of the tag team title match on Sunday, they made their intention known that they're gunning for the tag team titles. So they attacked, FTR, they attacked the Acclaim. They actually met up with the Bucks afterwards. Bucks tried to congratulate, talked about saying that they thought their message was for FTR. But Grizzled Young Veterans talked about, well, not just a message for FTR, it's a message for you guys as well. Talking about we're coming for everyone in the tag team division. And James Drake said at the end, when you see GYV, grit your teeth. So then they had a little promo inside, Dynamite, and they talked about how on Rampage Friday there's going to be an unlucky team that's going to get in their way, and they're going to show why they're going to be the force to be reckoned with inside the tag team division. And then James Drake again, grit your teeth. Excuse me. Grizzled Young Veterans are a great tag team, underrated. Very fun to see them in NXT. Kind of surprised they didn't do more with them. Well, when Vince McMahon and the main roster kind of took over NXT from Triple H, it wasn't quite the same. So, cooling down. So, nonetheless, they are in AEW and certainly be a boost to the tag team division. The Motor City Machine Guns, speculation on if GYV took their spot, because it seems like Motor City Machine Guns, one of my favorite tag teams of all time, is set to go to WWE possibly. So, nonetheless, the tag team division, they need to book better. It's like we can say what we want about the talent, but they have a good amount of talent. It's just they need to pay more attention. So Grizzly Young Veterans certainly could help, because they got Private Party, The Acclaimed, FTR, Young Bucks. Those are some of the teams that we saw on Wednesday. Funny thing is, we have that Texas Stadium show next year. So you wonder when the Von Erichs are gonna start appearing more on Dynamite. We'll see. But yeah, I covered everything that was on the show, so very good. So yeah, Dynamite coming out of All In did what they needed to do to set themselves up for All Out in 2 weeks or in 8 days, because All In's on 7, or All Out is on 7. But yeah, 5 matches seemingly set. Bryan versus Jack Perry, Wolf versus Statlander, Hangman versus Swerve, Garcia versus MJF, and Ospreay versus Pac. So right away, that's 5 matches, solid matches. We'll see what they do next week and on Saturday's Collision. But nonetheless, thank you guys all. Be safe. By the way, so for my WWE fans, Bash at Berlin tomorrow morning. So I should have a review up sometime this weekend. So, but yeah, take care, guys. Stay tuned. Nonetheless, thank you guys all. We're at 74. Let's try to keep it more. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Like if you like this video. Leave a thumbs up. Peace, guys. See you guys next time.